it's certainly not looking good for Fantastic Four, or F4 4, or whatever you want to call it. After a promising early development period, rumours of reshoots and bad behaviour from both director and studio have made it clear all was not well during filming. And on release it's been critically mauled, currently sitting at a lower Rotten Tomatoes rating than Batman and Robin. Not a good look. So to celebrate failure, we're looking back at 5 superhero movies that bombed both critically and at the box office. Steel. If you're over a certain age, it's hard to comprehend a world that thought putting Shaq into movies was a good idea. But there's hard historical evidence this actually happened in the form of Steel, a DC superhero picture which only barely relates to the original incarnation of the character, who, by the way, isn't exactly the highest profile figure in that universe anyway. To cut a long story short, Shaq is a mechanical genius who makes a metal suit to fight crime. So far so Iron Man, but excise the idea of charm from your mind, add the world's floppiest helmet, and you've got something almost as bad as Steel. The one saving grace of this? Richard Roundtree, aka Shaft as the badass Uncle Joe. The Phantom. I think you can exactly triangulate someone's age by whether or not they consider Billy Zane to have ever been relevant. He seemed to be a star for around 5 or 6 hours, but for a brief shining period, he was the Phantom, making this film a bit of a time capsule in its own way. That and the fact it was one of 3 pulp adaptations released in 5 years, along with The Rocketeer and The Shadow. But no matter which planets appeared to be aligning, the Phantom pretty much sank without a trace, and is now a bottom tier Netflix Sunday afternoon watch. Spawn. Here's one that bombed with critics but did good box office. Spawn, the highest grossing John Leguizamo as a paedophile clown demon film you'll ever see. And with good reason. Following Michael J. White's journey to hell and back again as a superpowered black ops half-demon, this is the most 90s property ever adapted to film. And the plot doesn't even try to make any sense. Instead, it settles for as many explosions and fireballs as possible, and actually ends up being not half bad. In my eyes anyway, if you're drunk. Never watch this sober. Tank Girl. Rachel Talalay is a good director, as anyone who saw last year's Doctor Who finale would agree, but this movie was doomed from the start. I mean, it focuses on a heroine who is famously scatterbrained, a comic full of viewer-unfriendly material, and a fiercely niche approach to character and narrative. The writer's admirable attempts to railroad the Aussie anarchy into some sort of plot fail completely, despite best efforts from Malcolm McDowell as an exposition-focused villain. But in the end, the film manages its most important goal. It's tremendous fun and very much a product of its era. Unfortunately, audience didn't take to it on release, and this one tanked at the box office. Green Lantern. This messy snooze fest features a charmless Ryan Reynolds as Hal Jordan, and does its best to dismiss decades of comic book history while boring the viewer to death. It's hard to pinpoint exactly where it all went so wrong. Maybe it's the decision to make the film humorous but without adding any jokes.
I pledge allegiance to a lantern.
Or maybe turning a massive arch-villain into a featureless gas cloud. Silver Surfer, anyone? Whatever's wrong with it. Sorry. Which of its many features that are wrong is the worst thing about it? This picture pretty much sank without a trace, and although it did respectably at the box office, critics weren't so kind. Come on, Ryan, you can do better than this. I saw Adventureland. You're a good actor. So next time you hear someone mouthing off about how badly Fantastic Four is doing at the box office, just remember, it comes from a rich heritage of underperforming superhero movies. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.